He's lost, hungry, exhausted. And worse, he's being watched. But then something happens. This is the day a herd of buffalo adopted a kangaroo. A kangaroo, alone, disoriented, and far from anything that resembles home, wanders across dry, unfamiliar land. No trees to hide in, no mobs to follow, no scent trails to guide him. He doesn't belong here. Because this is lion territory. He's lost, hungry, exhausted. And worse, he's being watched. From the tall grass, golden eyes track every move. Muscles coil, tails twitch. The hunt is beginning. To the lions, he's not strange, he's not new, he's just vulnerable. And in the wild, vulnerability is an invitation to die. But then something happens. The ground begins to rumble. Low, heavy footsteps echo across the plain. A shadow moves in, not the lions, not other kangaroos, but buffaloes. Dozens of them showed up, a herd of buffaloes, and instead of fleeing, they face the lions head-on. They don't run, they form a wall, a living barricade between the predator and the kangaroo. What happened next shouldn't have happened, because these animals aren't allies. They're not even from the same continent. Buffalo don't save strangers. They defend their own, aggressively, instinctively, and only when necessary. And kangaroos? They don't just hop into new families. They keep to themselves, cautious, skittish, separate. Yet somehow this kangaroo didn't run away after being rescued. He stayed, and the buffaloes let him. This is the story of how a prey species, known for protecting only their own, welcomed an alien animal into their ranks. Not as a visitor, not as a tag-along, but as one of them. So, what made these buffalo break the rules? What was it about this kangaroo that changed everything? And how did this creature from another world become family and one of the deadliest habitats on Earth? Stick around, because what you're about to see is one of the strangest, most emotional, and most scientifically baffling stories ever recorded in the wild. This is the day a herd of buffalo adopted a kangaroo, and it changed everything. The lions had vanished. The immediate threat was gone, but something strange remained in the air, a stillness. The buffalo herd stood their ground, silent and unmoving, and the kangaroo frozen. Not in fear this time, but in shock. He didn't run, he didn't hide, he just stood as if trying to understand what had just happened. The buffalo didn't approach him. They didn't drive him away, they simply watched. For 10 long minutes there was nothing but silence between them. Then slowly the herd began to move, and to everyone's surprise, the kangaroo followed. That was the beginning of a bond no one expected. At first, the kangaroo trailed at a safe distance, far enough not to be seen as a threat, but close enough to stay near. He wasn't part of the herd, not yet, but they let him follow. Day turned to night, and in the darkness of the savannah, instinct takes over. Herds tighten, predators hunt, every animal relies on its kind to survive. The buffalo closed ranks, calves huddled next to mothers, bulls stood guard on the edges. But the kangaroo curled up a few feet away, alone. Then, one of the calves approached the kangaroo slowly, cautiously, curiously. The calf nudged the kangaroo gently, and then walked back to the herd. That small gesture meant everything. It wasn't dominance, it wasn't fear, it was acceptance. By the next morning, things had changed. The kangaroo no longer hovered on the outside. He grazed nearby, walked in rhythm with the group, and drank from the same watering hole. He began mimicking them, their movements, their pace, their pauses. Not as a predator, but as a mirror. At first, it seemed like mimicry for safety, but over time it looked more like identity. He was becoming one of them. And the buffalo, they didn't resist. They adjusted. They made room. Experts watching the footage were baffled. Buffalo are deeply loyal herd animals. They'll protect their own fiercely, but they are not known for charity. So, why allow a stranger into their space? Why let him live among them? Some called it herd instinct, others called it trauma bonding. A few even suggested it was empathy, an emotion we don't often credit animals with. But none of that explained what happened next. On the sixth night, another threat arrived. Not lions, but jackals, smaller, faster, and hungry. The herd moved quickly, circling into a defensive ring. The kangaroo stood outside, unsure what to do. He looked at them. They looked at him. Then something remarkable happened. One of the older buffalo stepped aside, a small opening in the circle, just big enough for the kangaroo. Without hesitation, the kangaroo hopped in. He was no longer tolerated. He was included. That moment changed everything. From that night on, he moved with the herd. They didn't just accept his presence, they protected it. When calves played, they played with him. When the herd moved, he walked in the center, not beside, but inside. Even predators began to ignore him. As far as they could see, he belonged. And the strangest part? He began acting more and more like them. His posture changed. His vigilance changed. He mirrored their pauses, their warning signs, their resting patterns. He stopped behaving like a kangaroo altogether. He had fully synchronized with the herd, and they, in their own way, had synchronized with him. Zoologists were stunned. One researcher called it a rare case of emotional imprinting across species lines. Another said it's not instinct, it's not accident, it's chosen inclusion, and that is unprecedented. The fact is, there are no logical reasons for buffalo to do this. No evolutionary incentive, no survival advantage. So, why? Why this one creature? Why break the rules of the wild? Maybe that's where science stops and story begins. Because sometimes the wild shows us a different side of itself, not one driven by competition, but by connection. Not by strength, but by recognition. This kangaroo had no herd of his own, so another one gave him a place. And just when it all seemed settled, when the story felt complete, the predators returned. Only this time things would go even deeper than before. Stay with us, because what happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew about animals. They had found peace. The kangaroo had a place, the herd had made space, and for a brief moment in the wild, one of the most unforgiving places on Earth, there was harmony, there was friendship. But nature never stays still for long, because one morning, everything changed. Familiar sounds were heard, sounds of predators, low but sharp, the sound of lions. This time, it wasn't one or two, it was pride, it was hunger, it was a comeback, and they remembered they had seen the kangaroo before, and they hadn't forgotten the meal they missed. The herd sensed the danger immediately. They tightened formation as usual, heads lowered, hooves stamped, ears perked. But something was different now. The kangaroo didn't wait behind them. Rather, he moved with them. He matched their urgency, their fear, their readiness, not because he was trying to blend in, because now it was instinct. He didn't just follow the herd's reactions, he felt them, and they, in turn, responded to him, protecting him not as an outsider, but as one of their own. The standoff was brutal. Lions on one side, buffalo on the other, and right in the middle, a creature that didn't belong to either world. But the buffalo didn't waver. The matriarch, the same one who had made space for him days earlier, stood in front of him again. Like a wall, like a shield, like a protector. And when the lions charged, so did she. What followed was chaos. Dust, horns, claws, roars. The buffaloes prevailed on the lions, and when it ended, when the lions finally retreated, humiliated and empty-handed, the herd was still standing, bruised but together, and the kangaroo still alive, sheltered, protected, and defended. That moment was the final seal. There was no more debate, no more hesitancy. The kangaroo wasn't a guest anymore, he was family. Days passed, then weeks. The kangaroo moved through the savannah with confidence. He nuzzled calves, he grazed near the matriarch. He followed migration patterns with precision. At night, he slept within the inner circle, right between two of the younger bulls. Safe in their warmth, as if they'd known him forever. This wasn't survival anymore, this was belonging. Because something changed in the herd too. They moved differently, more alert, more unified, almost as if taking on a new role, not just guardians of their own, but guardians of what was possible. And the kangaroo, he wasn't copying anymore. He was leading calves to water, standing alert at the perimeter, becoming one of them. Scientists had no category for this. It wasn't symbiosis, it wasn't temporary, it wasn't a glitch in behavior. It was identity. And not just for him, for the buffalo too. They had chosen him, and in doing so had redefined what it meant to be a herd. So, what does this really mean? A kangaroo adopted by buffalo? In a landscape where everything is supposed to eat or be eaten, dominate or die, something else happened. Something bigger, something softer. And that is compassion, the most powerful instinct of all. This isn't a story about a kangaroo. It's a story about belonging, about rewriting the rules of survival, about how empathy, even in the wild, is sometimes stronger than instinct. Because if this herd of buffalo can make room for a stranger, what's stopping us? As the sun sets over the Golden Plains, the herd moves forward. And in the center, not behind, not beside, but within, hops a single kangaroo, once alone, once marked for death, but now home. If this story moved you, even just a little, consider sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. If you want to see more stories that show the beauty of the wild and the unexpected kindness that lives inside it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Thank you for watching.